Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game that it doesn't need any type of presentation anymore. It won every single award in the Academy of the Game Awards, which is valid. It's a game with a lot of quality, truth be told, and I'm very happy that we got a JRPG on the Western that really resonates with a lot of people. It's not a game that it hooked me when I played it. I think I need to give it a second try in the future, but I say this just so you understand that I'm not a Clair Obscur fanboy. And no, I don't think this game sets a precedent in the industry. It's more like a consequence of a lot of years, I would say more or less like a decade of bad decisions in the AAA industry. I mean, Clair Obscur is just one example of many, many more. An example of devs that work on Ubisoft that left because they couldn't make the game they want. Another L for Ubisoft. How many more can take, right? But I understand why people feel like Clair Obscur is a new game. And it feels very new. I understand that JRPGs don't appeal for a lot of people in general because the anime aesthetics and so on, right? But that's exactly why I say it's not a precedent. We already had games like Expedition 33 for a while. Sure, the narrative could be different, but it doesn't feel like a new game to me. And it doesn't have to sometimes. So I'm very glad that a lot of people are enjoying this game, despite all this that I'm saying, and that I don't enjoy it that much. However, the topic of the video is not really about if Clair Obscur deserves all the prize or not. It's about how Clair Obscur shows that this industry needed to change for a very long time. And it's already been changing in the last 2 years, I would say, or we are starting to see these changes, more like, because Clair Obscur is not the first company made by people that left their former AAA companies. We are seeing that ex-Yakuza director leaves to form a new studio, and that studio makes a new Yakuza game. We see the Mass Effect director leaves Electronic Arts and makes a new type of Mass Effect game. We see Devil May Cry Suda51 ex-developers that leave their respective companies to make new different type of action games. And the list goes on and on and on. The thing is, like, we haven't seen any of all this for a while because the studios, forming a studio takes a lot of time, and making games nowadays takes even more time. Especially with a new studio, hire people and so on. But all these bad decisions the industry AAA has been making, we start to see them after COVID, because let's face it, COVID brought a lot of people into every digital media ever in existence, which is good. The problem is that companies misread that as, oh, there is more people, which translates to more money. And more money, what we need to spend to invest more money later on, but that's not how it works. Like it's just a bubble. It's just a period of time in which everyone was locked down and they didn't have anything to do other than play video games, watching anime, and so on. So now that they are investing even more money into the projects, and these projects are overpriced, that's why the games are overpriced, and that's why they put more DLCs and battle passes and etc, etc, etc. What happens is that they are not seeing the financial return, because a lot of these people either left or they don't care how overpriced a game is if the game is bad. They don't care how much quality a game has if the game is not fun. They don't care about a lot of these games because they already have their comfort games to play, and they don't want a new game that tries to appeal a bigger audience that is not for them. The problem that the companies had is that they misread a lot of the things that happened during COVID. Instead of seeing, oh, there is more people in every niche, they saw, oh, there is more people in general as a whole. And that's a huge problem. Because when you are trying to make a game for everyone, it's a game for no one. And the only people that you cater in these situations are theories that they might buy your game and a DLC, but they are not loyal to you. They will just hop to another game. And that's fine. I like variety. However, if you want success and financial return, you need to appeal to those people that are loyal to you. And this happens not now. This been happening in forever. One example that is clear about this is Resident Evil. Resident Evil has 9 games with a number, like there are even more, but 9 games. 9 main games. You know what happens between 1 and 6? It started shifting from 4 to 6 to more action-packed type of games. And this was a change that brought a lot of people that weren't really into survival horrors as a whole. The thing is, like, the people that were before started to feel a little shifted that this type of games aren't for them anymore, so they complain a lot, especially during Resident Evil 6, they complain a lot. And what Capcom did, they could just look at the Excel and say, oh, Resident Evil 6 is the most grossing game we ever made. And they could just continue on that. But instead what they did was try to bring back the survival horror aspect into it. So what happened in there is that not only the veterans were happy about that they brought the franchise back to their roots, also the people that stuck between 4 and 6 were intrigued enough to give them a try and stick with the franchise despite not being that much in their comfort zone anymore. It was a win-win situation that Capcom didn't have to do, and it did. This doesn't happen usually. What happens is that, oh, we just see more money and the game is more buy. Oh, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it going. And this is why a lot of the games that release nowadays just, I wouldn't say fail, because they get their money back, but they are not as engrossing as companies they think they will be, right? Of course, there are other games like Live Service that they just fumble hard. Concord doesn't need a presentation at this point. Concord is like the punching bag of the industry for a lot of good reasons. And Concord show how detached the industry is from the players a lot of the times. Concord is just one. It's just another game of the industry that we didn't care about and we will never care about other than to mock about it. Highward is going on that same line, sadly. I have to admit. We will have to see how that game turns out, but it doesn't look that it's going to be in a good line at this point. And it's not like people aren't loyal to games. People are quite loyal to the games that they already like, love, and been playing for a lot of years. The thing is, like, people tolerate flaws, but they don't tolerate huge issues. And huge issues, especially from those people that are already starting to get burned out of their games. So when games like Arc Riders arrives, the people that used to play Tarkov started playing this, and they immediately shift from Tarkov to this one. Because it's basically the same game without all the issues that Tarkov has. At least from what I heard, grab this with a grain of salt. I haven't played Arc Riders, but that's what I heard a lot. It's not like Arc Riders is the messiahs of the extraction shooter genre. It's just that it makes the things that everyone else does wrong. And replace these games is not that they hate the old games. Like, I've seen a lot of cases, for example, Marvel Rivals and Overwatch. People hate on Overwatch for a very long time, and the reception of Overwatch is atrocious. It's half atrocious because they feel like Overwatch is the toxic ex. And a lot of the times they don't want to even try it anymore because of how they were treated by them in the past. But when you realize that Marvel Rivals has also a lot of those issues, and you can enjoy them both despite those issues, and that Overwatch also got a lot better over the time, ever since Marvel Rivals arrived especially, what I noticed is that a lot of people go back to Overwatch. Like, if you fix the game, there will be a lot of people that will go back. Yeah, there are a lot of other people that will stick with their comfort game that is now, and they will act like, oh no, too late for a change. And I'm like, brother, it's not too late. It's never too late for a change. Keep that advice for your life. It's never too late to change. So what even is the real public anymore, right? The real public never changed. That's the funny thing. The real public of video games never change. It's just that the niches expanded. Yeah, sure, there are more theorists than ever in the industry. That's that's for granted. The thing is, like, companies think that the tourists are the core audience, and they are wrong. The tourist does help a lot into funding games. It does help for the financial aspect, a lot more than a lot of people think. However, the tourists are not gonna be loyal to you. You need a main core audience, and if you don't respect them, and if you don't and give them the game they want, they are just gonna leave. They are gonna leave to either an indie game, to a AA game, and they are just gonna buy and play the games from companies that give them what they want. And that's more than fair. When players stop feeling like the games they play are not for them anymore, they stop buying, supporting, defending them, and move on. Especially nowadays that there isn't a console wars that there used to be. So yeah, going back to Clair Obscur, it's not a game that is trying to defy the AAA market. It's not trying to that. They were just trying to make a good and fun JRPG for a Western audience, and it doesn't try to please everyone. If you don't like turn-based games, you won't like this game. And that's fine. You don't have to like it. But what I'm trying to say is that they just committed to an identity. And that's something that it clearly worked, because after 8 months, people are still talking about this game. This is not a new era of gaming. If anything, this is just a consequence of the previous era. The players already changed. Now the developers are adapting to those changes. The industry is not leading, it's finally reacting to it. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to talk about all this. This video clearly doesn't have any type of script, and I'm sure that I stumble a lot and yada yada yada. Anyway, let me know if you guys like this format more, because let's face it, YouTube, it's good and all. I really love editing, but at the same time, it's not rewarding at all. It's just not rewarding at all, especially how the AI is taking the algorithm and so on. So I would rather just like make this type of videos, commentary, talking about whatever I like, in a more chill format. But yeah, that's all.